no one really knows anything about it.
Would you like to know? He's standing right here. Since when is violence morally justified? He says never. Fidel Castro, he says, was like a father to him. He was just being groomed. If he did not carry out a lot of the bad things that he was told to do, he would be killed himself.
Hi everyone, thank you for watching. By law, I have to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes only. All videos are property of Psychic Liz Cross, LLC. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Mr. Reality and Psychic Medium Liz Cross. Liz, how are you today?
I am doing well. I'm intrigued as to why you picked Che Guevara.
I was going to do El Cid, but I didn't think enough people would know El Cid, so I thought we'd do Che Guevara instead, who's the most counter-revolutionary person in the world, whose symbol is still gracing the halls of college students across America, and he's shown as like a symbol of the resistance to power, and yet no one really knows anything about him. And I tried to see if there was a channeling of Che Guevara, but there wasn't. So I thought, well, I'll get Liz Cross and we'll get to the mystery and the root of the story behind Che and ask him if he's ever been channeled in this way before.
He has not. And luckily for us, we can all still mispronounce his name like I just did. Sorry about that. Shay. Okay, what would you like to know? He's standing right here.
Wow. So he's excited about today chatting with us.
Very.
And so tell us about historically your views and what shaped your views.
What shaped your views historically? What? He was always born to come in and be a nonconformist. This is not the first lifetime that
Okay.
he did what he did.
How many other revolutionary lifetimes did he have?
Oh, several. He's been involved in lots of battles, overthrowing governments, being well, I say a sniper. He says like a modern day sniper, but back then they didn't have guns. In these previous lifetimes, where he has befriended and been a double spy, or he's done lots of things, and where he's ended up killing the main person. Yeah, this guy is
Anyone
no
that
pro.
we would know through history?
Ooh, anyone that we would know through history. Some old king in the Middle East who was a very vicious ruler. He slit his throat.
Okay. When is violence morally justified, in your opinion, as Che Guevara?
Ooh, these are good questions. When is violence morally justified? He says, now his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the other side, he says never. That is how he feels about it as we ask him that question today.
Okay, but as a leader and as a revolutionary at the time, people consider him a butcher, but he really wasn't in charge of butchering people when they took over or when there was a revolution in Cuba and he and Fidel, he was overseeing the tribunals of the Batista movement, and that's how he's been gotten the nickname of the Butcher of La Havana, I think. And but he wasn't really in charge of assassinating those horrible people that committed atrocities under the Batista regime. So does he see now any way that you would be morally justified in using violence? And I don't mean violence to the extreme of killing someone, but violence to the, to prove your point.
You see, certainly when you were in this last lifetime, what about the violence? No, he felt that was justified in this last lifetime. As Shay, yeah, absolutely. He said we had to get those people out of there. They were destroying everyone. They were destroying so many people, and the bloodshed was not stopping. They didn't even need a reason to make people exit the earth plane. They just killed indiscriminately, he says, and somebody had to stop it. It was very corrupt. There was a lot of money being stolen. People were starving. People were they were being beaten. I mean, imprisoned for no reason. He says somebody had to take control.
You had childhood asthma, then you took a motorcycle tour across Latin America. You wrote about it in the Motorcycle Diaries. If you haven't read that book, you should probably check it out, everybody out there. So, what part of you was rebellious and what made you that like revolutionary character? Was it driving through Central America? Was it the things you encountered? Was it what shaped you?
Well, he got to experience what freedom was like in other countries. And he made comparisons of how oppressed some people were. So that was very, very eye-opening for him. But he was always a rebel. Like he did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it.
So, like,
Fearless.
how do you think that your image has been portrayed historically now that you're on the other side? Do you still see it? Are you aware of people that are
Mm.
championing your name?
Well, there's a lot of distortions, he says. There's a lot of false stories. There's a lot of true stories. I mean, he
Set
says
the
you
record
need to
straight.
take,
What are the false stories that you want to change? Now you've got your pulpit.
what are the false stories? That he was responsible for killing women and that there were some mistresses that in order to get to other people he had to take out. He says that did not happen. Were you in charge? I mean, he says he was in charge.
Yeah, who was in
He
charge
was.
of the banks in Cuba and what was your relationship with like Fidel Castro and how did that change and why did you leave?
I mean, Fidel Castro, he says, was like a father to him in so many ways. But then he realized that over time, he was just being groomed into being his, like contract killer. He wanted more and more and more. He would just say this just one more job, just one more thing, and then then you can stop. And then it got to a point where he was being threatened. We If he left, he was being watched, and if he did not carry out a lot of the bad things that he was told to do, he would be killed himself.
Talk us through the years of your life and like what personality traits change from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s in the incarnation of Shay.
Well, in his 20s he was fearless and he really didn't have much of a direction of what he was going to do. Ultimately, he never knew when this would stop, when he would settle down. He didn't want to settle down. Now, as he turned into his 30s, he started thinking about there has to be more to life than this. And that's when he started to want to get out of it, but he couldn't.
How did he change though? What changed in his personality?
Self-hatred for the things that he was doing.
Do values stay with you when you reincarnate into another person?
Yes.
And so what are you incarnated now and have you been since you crossed over?
No,
Are you working on your next lifetime and when would you come back?
he definitely is working on his next lifetime. And he is saying he's going to do the same again.
Where?
Oh, where? Europe.
And looking back on your lifetime as Shay, what do you feel is justified by the public to lead some type of a revolution? Like, what do you feel should be the breaking point for a revolution to start in the people?
Revolution to start in with the people. Well, when money is being controlled, you no longer have full access. When the government believes that your money is actually their money, that you are just, allowed to live here. It's when the government establishes a sense of entitlement and takes away the rights of the people. So let's ask him this question. Do you believe what's going on now in Cuba is, worthy of another? Oh, absolutely, he says, another revolution. What about what's going on in the US? He says everywhere, like our rights are being eroded. Again, we're going to be watched and tracked and traced. Like we all know that. We've had that come through in so many probes. Your rights are going to be taken away from you, but nobody's willing to stand up. It's very hard to have these underground movements when we're so dependent, he says, upon the grid system.
Yeah, I've asked this question at least 100 times. I've never gotten an answer I'm happy with, but can you tell us about life on the other side versus the Earth plane? Like, what types of things would we run into? How is it different? How are the struggles different over there now? What is existence like there now?
But I mean, he's like, it's no big deal.
Not an answer.
He is with Castro, and he and Castro are cooking up plans to try to overthrow some things in Europe that's going to be taking place, like fighting for the small people. When do you plan to come back in? 100 years, 100, between 100 and 120 years from now, Europe is
So,
going to be an absolute mess. So, what are you doing up there? Like, are you planning? Yes, I mean, his days are filled with planning and plotting his lifetimes with Castro. They're trying to recruit people, worthy people that are, freedom fighters, he says, for the cause. But I mean, can you describe like it's like just existing? He says you just exist. Down there on the earth is like really living. You feel alive, you feel vibrant, you feel energized. Certainly he did when he was here. He did get tired of running, okay? But up there, it's like there's no excitement. There's no running from anybody. I mean, you can imagine his kind of life. I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean. But there's no running. There's no um, plotting and planning and trying to plot an escape. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, in his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinion, it's like kind of there's nothing really going on up there.
but how would you describe like the political system of the afterlife? Because you're given everything that you want. You don't have to struggle. There's no incentive to do anything except in your next incarnation. So, what is that existence like?
Political system. I mean, there's definitely a structure, there's definitely a hierarchy. There are those in charge,
Is he
but
familiar
you
with the
don't.
hierarchy? Is he ready to overthrow it over there? Can he do that? What powers would he have to do so? And what would happen if he tried? Who would he be
No.
overthrowing if he did?
Who would you be over? That's really funny. Who would you be overthrowing if you did? He would have to overthrow the board, which we know from past probes, the board is like the big, it's kind of like a company, and the board is like the board of directors. Would you do that? It's impossible to overthrow the board. Can you overthrow the advisors? No, you can't overthrow anything up there. It is what it is. The structure is in place. There's nothing you can do about it. And you don't actually care while you're up there because you're not concerned about your rights and your freedoms being eroded. But I'm saying, but they are.
You don't
You know,
have
if
any.
if you're being forced to reincarnate and but he loves being here. So that's the difference between him and some other soul.
Well, I think most souls would agree that they like the ride. That's why they keep saying again and again, and they keep coming back. But from the point of view of the afterlife, I'm still trying to understand how it's made up. So he's mentioned the board, he's mentioned this group. Uh, what else, what engagement do you have with them while you're on the other side? Is it only when you're going down to incarnate, or is there any other interaction you have with these boards or other agencies while you're in the afterlife?
Is it only incarnate? I mean, he says you don't really have any interaction with the board. The board is superior. So you can't just approach the board. I mean, they're off limits. They have their own stuff to do and they're very busy. You have to make an appointment and you have to jump through hoops to get to the board. Can you get to the board? No, he can't get to the board. But I'm going to ask him a question. But I can get to the board. Being down here on the earth plane, if I have beef with the board, I go to the board, right? Doesn't mean anything's going to change in my life. Every time I've gone to the board and like slammed my fist down on their etheric table and shouted at all of them, nothing changed. And he says, yeah, it never does.
There's no other agencies.
No.
Down here, we have this concept that we're all one. Do you feel this interconnectedness with other souls when you're on the other side?
No, he feels like he is set apart from other souls. Other souls are more concerned with their own individual ascension process, where he is concerned with trying to make life better here on the earth plane. Now, in a lot of his lifetimes, that failed spectacularly. But he wants to make a difference here on the earth plane. Certainly, that's what his soul aims for.
But you're trying to shape people's life and destinies. Would it be a better way to put yourself into the government as opposed to trying to overthrow it and change it from the inside? Or can you really affect no change from the government because it's like too much of a big thing?
He doesn't want to be in the government. He wants to overthrow the government. You cannot change, he says, from within. And I'm like, but hold on, you told us about the lifetime of where you had infiltrated into this kingdom, you had befriended or were like thought of as a highly regarded servant of the king, and then you basically slit the king's throat. Yeah, he says that was then. These systems have changed. You cannot change things from within. You have to change things from outside. But do you think we are, because okay, in the UK, for example, there's a lot of call for a revolution. Okay, yes, he's agreeing with me. Yes, there is. Do you think that will ever happen? He says, no, never in a million years. And I'm saying, why? Because it's too far gone. You know, people do not want to disrupt their daily lives to become freedom fighters. So, do you believe that this is how we are now? He says, yes, very much.
Not that we're encouraging anyone out there to start a revolution,
Right,
but
right.
if you were to start one, it seems like it would be much more difficult with the technology that's available now. Where would you go to try and start? If you were, not that we're suggesting that you do, from Shay's point of view, for those people in UK that might be listening, that not that we're suggesting this,
No, this is just his point of view. He says
entertainment purposes only.
you have to form your own underground military, which that makes perfect sense. If you think about that answer, what is it that overthrowers do throughout the world? That's exactly what they do. They have to form their own underground military. You know, when we've seen regimes fall before, it has to be done on a military level. And you have to, I'm like with the technology now, how can you possibly outsmart an administration or a government or a regime? Like, how can you do it? He's like, it's damn near impossible, his exact words. But it can be done with thought and skill, and he will attempt to do it again. Now, as he just gave me a glimpse into his future lifetime, it's not going to look good for him because he will be captured, he will be tortured, they will want the information, the names, and all of those things. And then, you know, that being tortured is not a good thing, obviously, and they will permanently disfigure him so that they will always be able to recognize him. And I'm saying, is that really the future lifetime that you want? He said, yes, Liz, that is what I want. But do you have to include the torture and the disfigurement, like of the face? Absolutely, 100% yes. Okay, like I said, his energy is very much, I do what I want to do when I want to do it. And there's very rarely any opportunity to get him to change.
Let's turn our attention to Bernie Sanders, who is an independent out of the state of Vermont. What are his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions about Che Guevara?
Oh, what are your personal thoughts? He admires him. He looks up to him. He studied Che.
What aspects of it inspire you, and why are you not petitioning to implement some of the things that he wanted in government in government?
He's tried to implement those things, but you can't get past the old sweats. Like you just can't do it. It's status quo. It's we keep doing things as they've always been done, because that is what is successful for us, meaning that they're lining their own pockets. That's what I got from Bernie. His
Uh,
personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
right. This is I think the man that Mr. Tehran shot and killed Guevara. What is the soul contract between he and Shay, and will he be with them in a future lifetime? Does there,
He will be the one that tortures him in the future lifetime and disfigures his face.
why did they bring that soul contract together?
Oh,
Like, what's the origin of it? Because it seems like you're just repeating the same old hat.
what is the origin of that? Now that goes way back. They've always been rivals, even back to early human lifetimes where there was always a battle for the head of the tribe or the leaders of the tribe or the strongest in the tribe or family structure. And these two have always battled it out.
Can't they
And
just agree to
they,
get along, be friends?
no, I mean, on a soul level, they love each other like brothers, right? But this is the contracts or contracts that these are the contracts that they keep making down here on the earth plane because they believe independently, they believe that it makes them stronger.
Stronger in what way? What are the stronger attributes you're talking about? Is it karmically? Is it consciously? Is it like on a soul growth level? What are the metrics we're looking at?
They're not so concerned with soul growth. That's not what their souls are doing. They don't care how long it takes. They are more concerned with making what he says, making life better here on the earth plane for ordinary souls that have been forced to come here to struggle. He wants to try to make it better.
And I guess I wanted to ask Shay, what attributes or characteristics of the afterlife would he like to see implemented here in our physical life?
More backbone, more stop being weasels, he says. Now these
But
are his personal thoughts, feelings,
but
and
isn't
opinions.
everybody in the afterlife a weasel because they don't have a backbone? They don't stand up to the board? Is now the only place you can do that on the earth plane? Like, where is the fight in the afterlife?
There is no fight in the afterlife.
Why not? The system is broken there.
Well, it's compliant.
Right. So why not fighting that system?
They don't have the energy to do so on a soul level. It takes a lot of energy to organize a coup, right?
Okay, if he could organize 10,000 souls together and they're just this, orb army over there, and they went to the board, what could they do to convey their message? And what would happen to them? Would they just be incinerated? Or, like, I mean, I know you're fighting a source
Mm.
power over there, but like, how would that coup happen on the other side?
It wouldn't happen, but if it was to happen, they would be imprisoned, as in,
Santa Haley's Comet.
right. But really sent locked in an area. He says we would be locked in an area until we had received enough education and guidance that this is not how you play the game.
Social reprogramming they're going through, it sounds like. Brainwashing, it sounds like.
That's funny. Basically, he says, yeah,
How many incarnations as a human being have you had, Shay?
thousands.
You've had
I think
thousands of human incarnations?
the
How long has
human
that been going back?
Oh God, this has been going back to like the dawn of man. He's had over 2,000 lifetimes. So he wins our award for the most
Yeah.
human lifetimes that we've come across in a spirit that is still in the reincarnation process. Well done. Congratulations. You now have first place.
First place. What part of the Ascension ladder is Shay on, having had over 2,000 human lifetimes?
Ready? Drum roll.
Dun, 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 dun.
Two.
What?
Yeah. He means
What?
what he says. Yeah, he means what he says. He's not concerned about his ascension at all. He really means that.
It sounds like it. What does he need to do in order to step up the next ladder? Because it seems like you're not moving forward enough. And yet, you were a doctor in that lifetime. You helped set up hospitals. You helped set up banks. Those would seem to be attributes that would benefit the country.
It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. He says, no, it's not enough.
What do you need to balance in order to make the next step on the ascension scale? Like what needs to weigh out in the books?
His self-hatred, because in most lifetimes, just as he had in this last lifetime, he ends up hating himself for what he does. So he starts out with gusto, and then he ultimately hates being in that role.
What needs to change in that life plan in order to remove the self-hatred from his path so that he can move up?
Well, I mean, I'm going to inject here what I'm picking up on, which is he really needs a new soul mother, like a soul family mother that can, you know, show him a different way. Maybe focus more on his own independent growth, his own spiritual journey, as opposed to being this fighter for the people. Maybe just try it out in a lifetime and see how you get on with it. Because, I mean, at the end of the day,
Souls do the same thing over and over again, and apparently sometimes it doesn't work. We hear that time and time again. And this
and
is
that was my
the
question.
best
Yeah,
example.
that was my question. So, in reality, when you look now and you see all the souls that you believe you helped, did it really make a difference here on the earth plane? Now, he says it did. He says it did. But Spirit are saying no, because they'll just find a way to oppress souls in a different part of the world that he doesn't have access to.
When you
See,
engage with others, go ahead.
sorry, in order to facilitate these changes, he has to really do his homework in the spirit world. He has to study the future and the evolution that is taking place and find where he fits in to make the biggest impact. And that is very, very difficult. I mean, you pick the wrong location and it's over for that lifetime, or the wrong circumstances. Trying to gauge how difficult things will actually be for people here on the earth plane is very hard to do.
And so when you look at other souls on that spirit plane, can you tell how many lifetimes they've had with their barcode?
Yes.
And so engaging with other souls, have you met any other old souls like yourself?
No, not in the realm that he's in, not in the structure or looking into the things that he's looking into.
So would you consider yourself stuck in your soul ascension adolescence?
Wow. She considers and stuff. I mean, he's never even looked at it that way. It's only us that are bringing these questions, well, you bringing these questions to him that has made him realize that, on this soul ascension level, he hasn't gone hardly anywhere.
So when he ruminates on his life and he thinks about himself, how is thinking about yourself over 2,000 lifetimes different than thinking about yourself as Che Guevara? Like, do you have a totality of experience of all those lifetimes?
He does. He does. And they're all relatively similar. he doesn't really focus on his own ascension. I'm saying, but do you think it's time that you do? He's like, maybe. But I mean, he's one of those souls that never wants to leave the earth plane. And I'm like, well, okay, but maybe like 50,000 years from now, it could be really good, but it could be really bad. And do you still want to be knocking around here, then saying this is so awful that I don't want to be here anymore? And now you're in this predicament of trying to ascend very quickly, as fast as possible, so that you don't have to come back. Do you think you'll ever get tired of the earth plane? He goes, no, he doesn't believe that.
All right. Well, Che Guevara, thank you so much for your time today. And Liz, thank you for bringing him forth. We appreciate each one of you out there and, supporting Liz and supporting me on the Psychic Medium Liz Cross show. This has been very interesting and educational.
Wow. Just, I'm in shock. We learned a lot. I'm in shock. I'm going to have to think about this and absorb this for a while. And then, maybe poll the Patreon subscribers, like, how do we use this information to better ourselves? And because that's what we do. Wow. This is really eye-opening. Thank you.